So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Scale Up India. I'm Abhishek Verma and you are watching the Hibernate series. So today is 26th of January and India is celebrating its Republic Day. So first of all, my hearty wishes to everyone and towards our country, India also, for its Republic Day. And we wish that India should progress in all aspects of life. And not only India, but all the Indians needs to progress and needs to contribute for this. And we are doing our contribution just by making these videos. And yeah, each one of us has a different way of contributing towards it. So with this, let's get started for this another video. So currently, as you can see, we are having 878 subscribers. So still we are very far away, I can say around 122 subscribers from 1000 subscribers of goal. Yeah, and yeah, I hope that you will be helping me for that. So as you can see that so many videos have been released related to Hibernate, one-to-one mapping, then we did the bidirectional also. Then also I shown you the eager loading as well as the lazy loading. And we discussed that it depends on our requirements that which one needs to be used for. And from today's video onwards, we are going to increase the level of our videos. And that is in the terms of complexity. So now more and more complex topics are going to be covered. And for this, the only thing which you need to do is that first of all, you need to watch and ensure all your basics are clear. And the another thing is that parallelly you should be practicing. And that's the only reason why I create only one video every week, so that it's easier for me as well as for you. And we are not going to compromise with the quality also. Yeah, so let me get directly towards our PPT here. So here I have just made a very small presentation for you, just for 3 slides only, in order to explain you the concept what we are going to do from today. So till now you have seen that we were implementing one-to-one mapping, and let's say this is the owner, a small boy, and this is the pet, yeah, maybe a cat. So here, as we can see, this is a one-to-one relation. So one owner, one pet is there. And out of this, you can easily say that owner owns the cat. Yeah. So this particular boy owns the cat here. So we will say that in our pet table, that is going to be the non-owning table here. So there we have a pet ID, pet name, date of birth, gender, and type. And the other one is the owner table. And that is the owning table. Now, why we are saying it is the owning table? Because when we are speaking in the normal English also, we say owner has a pet, or maybe the boy has a cat, something like this. So here you see we have this particular pet ID here. So this pet ID is 1, because of which we are able to join both these tables. And we have seen this very clearly with the help of our code also. And not only this, I mean, this doesn't mean that from the pet side we can't go towards the owner side. That also I have shown you that we can just have a bidirectional mapping, and then just from the pet table we can move towards the owner table. And for this we don't need to make any change in the tables also. Yeah. So I hope this one is clear to you. And just remember that here, which is the owning table, which is the non-owning table, and where we are having the pet ID. So this is something important to be remembered for the later part. Now moving on to the next part. So today we are going to basically learn about one-to-many and many-to-one mapping. Now you will say that how it is possible to learn both the concepts in a single video. Because just see, if you see this from the perspective of owner here, so you will say one owner is having 2 pets. So one to many. Yeah. But if you see it from the perspective of cat, so you will say many to one. And hence we see that most of the time for one side it is one to many, and for the other side it is many to one. There is one more, that is many to many, which we will see in our next video. Now if this is the case, so again let's try to understand which is the owning side and which is the non-owning side. So it doesn't matter basically that whether there is a single owner, multiple pets, or whatever is the relation. Always we will be saying that pet is the non-owning side, because we can't say that this pet is having the owner. Yeah, so we can't make them as the owning side. So this pet table will still remain my non-owning table. And since there are 2 pets, so we have taken 2 pet IDs, 2 pet names, two date of births, one is male, one is female, both are cat. And for the owner side, it will look something like this. So the owner table is still the owning table. We have all the data of the owner. So something like this. And here, this time I need to say that this owner is having two pets. So in the pet ID column, I'm saying 1, 2. Yeah. Now the point is that when you write something like this, 1, 2. So although it may look that okay, everything is fine, because one owner is having multiple pets. So here we have given something like a kind of a list. Yeah. But saving this kind of data in the tables is little difficult here, because it's not a good practice, because here what will you say is the data type for this particular column? We can't say it is integer. Yeah, because integers don't have comma in between. So there are basically two integers. So this is not a good way of representation. So hence we will say that this is basically a wrong way here. So the best way to show that data is something like this, that here we have the owner table, and this is still the owning table only, and you see there we don't have any pet ID. Yeah. So although we are not mentioning that what is the pet IDs, it is still the owning table. Yeah. And in the pet table, here we are mentioning it like this. So we have a owner ID column. Now both the pets belong to same owner, so hence the values are same here. Yeah. And at a time we know that a pet can belong to only one owner. So one owner can have many pets, but the reverse way is not possible, that one pet can belong to many owners. Yeah. Again, that is as per our scenario only as of now. In the next video we'll see many to many also, so there we will talk about that particular part. But here this will look something like this. So you will see that here is the owner ID, but it doesn't means that now your pet is the owning table. It is still the known owning table only. Yeah. So I hope that it is clear that when we are shifting from one to one to one to many or many to one mapping, how the table structure is going to change. So now your tables will look something like this, and that is going to be your table structure. Yeah. So that is one of the things which I just wanted to tell you, so that before we start with the coding part, you have the picture in your mind what we are going to create here. Yeah. So now if this is clear, let's see how do we need to modify our code here. So let's directly go towards our Eclipse. So now we are in our Eclipse, and this is the demo 11. So again, as always, what I have simplest done is I have just copy pasted from the previous demo. Yeah. So same things are there, and we'll directly go towards the entity class. So this is the one. Yep. And what I'll do is that wherever it is more important, I'll try to focus more time. I'll try to spend more time there. And wherever it is, let's say, less important, or some part of code just needs to be written, I'll just provide you there directly. Yeah. Later on, you can download the code, and then if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the chats also, or in the comment section basically. Yeah. So here you see that till now we were having one-to-one relationship here, and because of that, in the owner table we used to have this pet table like this, and then in the pet table, since we made it a bidirectional mapping, so here we will directly study the bidirectional in one-to-many also. Yeah. So that's why it used to look something like this, but now it says that okay, some things needs to be changed. So the number one change is going to be that now we can't have a single pet here. So here we know that one owner is going to have multiple pets. So what is the way to save multiple pets in a single owner? It can be any kind of collection. You can say it can be an array, it can be a list, it can be a set, or I mean these are the simplest possible options: array, list, or set. Here we should not go for the map for this kind of thing. So what we will do is we'll go for list here, because it is easy to manage also later on, and that's the reason we are choosing list here. So I'll just convert it like this, list, and here I will call it as, let's say, pet list. So I'm writing it something like this. Yeah. And what I want is that at all points of time I don't want any kind of null pointer exception for this. Yeah. So there should be at least some empty list. So just for those kind of purposes, I'm writing it like this also. Yeah. So whenever you are just creating a particular, let's say, owner, and even if you haven't passed any kind of pet, so still it is going to be an empty list at least, so that later on whenever we wish we can add the things there. So yeah, this we have imported, and this also we have imported here, and now this looks something like this. So new of array list, and this goes wrong here, so now this one looks fine to me. So now I'm saying it is a list of pet list and something like this. And the obvious other changes are that we need to modify these two methods. So let me just delete them and modify them somewhere. With the help of this source I can do so. So I will say generate getters and setters, and only for the pet list I'll generate them. So now this looks something like this. Yeah, so this one looks good to me. And obviously your toString method is also having some issues now, because now there is not a single pet but instead a pet list. So let's modify this method also. So now I have modified the toString method also, and as of now what I have done is that from here I have removed the pet list. Yeah, because in the DTOs also we have the complete toString method. So as of now I have removed. Later on if we wish we'll just add it again here. That's not an issue for us. Now let's go on to the top and see what are going to be the changes. Now the number one change is that here you are not going to have this one-to-one annotation. So let's remove this. So this is not going to be available here. Another thing is that this time you don't have the join column here, because if you remember when we were looking towards the table, the extra column was in the pet table this time, not in the owner table. So just remember this. Wherever you are going to have the extra column, like as of now this is the easiest possible way. So wherever you have the extra column, there only you are going to write the join column annotation. So although we are mentioning the variable here, but we won't write the join column in this particular side. Yeah, so let's remove from here. So this we have removed. Now what else we can do? So something which we can do here is that here we will add the annotation one to many. So because we know that owner is one and pets are many, so here we will call it like this, one to many. So again this is coming from jakarta.persistence. Now let's see what do we have in this particular annotation. So the first one is target entity, but that one is very much clear because we are just mentioning here pet, so nothing more to write here. Now comes this cascade effect. Cascade effect in detail I have already mentioned you that you want that whatever the operation you perform on the owning side, you want the effect to be on the non-owning side also. So hence in this cascade also, let's give the cascade type something we can keep from here. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this one and I'll just say here cascadeType.all. This is very important, otherwise you will see that all the operations you need to write on both the sides. Yeah, but we don't want. We want that whenever we are updating the owner, pet also should be updated. Whenever we delete the owner, pet also should be deleted. Whenever we save the owner, pet also should be saved. So hence we are writing cascadeType.all here. So this we have done. Then the next comes is fetch type. So this time if you see, like this is something which you need to tell me in the comments now before you are going to move forward, that tell me that in one-to-one mapping, what was the default fetch type? Was it lazy or eager? So here you see the default fetch type is lazy here. Now why is it lazy? Because one owner is having many pets. So there may be a chance that always you don't want to see all the pets, or you just don't even want to see the pets. You just want to see the owner details. So by default they have given us the type as lazy, and we will also go for lazy type only as of now here. Yeah, we are not going to change this. The next thing comes up is the mapped by. So the mapped by, you see that this we used to write in the non-owning side last time. Yeah, so that we can have the bidirectional relationship. Now this time in the owner side, we don't have any special column like pet ID. Yeah, but still we want to mention all the pets also, like we want to access all the pets from the owner side. That's why for that particular purpose only we will be writing here mapped by. So let's just write it here like this, comma. So we'll say mapped by and not there. So Okay, Control Z, and let's paste it out here. So mapped by, and here we'll write something. Yeah. So this is the name which we need to check from there in the pet. What is the exact name? Why we are writing mapped by here? Because again, I'm repeating, in the owner table, we don't have anything that we can refer the pet directly. So hence we need to write the mapped by on this particular side. Last time in one-to-one mapping, we were not having anything in the pet side. So there we used to write the mapped by thing. Yeah. And the next one is this orphan removal. So this I have already mentioned you that whenever you are removing one side, you want other side also to be deleted completely. You don't want a situation where the owner has been removed and pets are still there. Yeah. So we don't want such a situation. Hence we will say owner removal as true here. If you don't have any such situation, then you can keep it as false only. That's not a hard and fast rule. That is completely your choice. So we have written here orphan removal as true, and now let's remove this fix me also. Yeah, because we have fixed it. So this side we have done, only this particular small part is left. Now let's go towards the pet side. Yeah, and see whatever the things we are having on the pet side this time. So on the pet side, you see there is the owner only. Now in the pet, if you remember, we were just having the owner ID. Yeah. So we just need to point only one owner at a time. So that is fine. And first of all, we don't need this thing. So here it will still remain a single owner only. And now the annotation is going to be many to one. Yeah. So here let's say many to one, something like this. So let's study this many to one also. So again, target entity, we don't care. Do we need to worry about the cascade? The answer is no. Currently, we don't need to worry about the cascade, because although that many to one annotation has cascade, but in our scenario, this particular pet table is the known owning side. Now, since it is known owning side, so we are not going to provide cascade here. We don't want a situation that whenever a pet is removed, owner is also removed. We don't want that situation. Yeah. So here we won't provide this particular kind of cascade here. That's the simplest possible way I'm telling you. The next step is fetch. So this time the fetch is by default eager in nature. Yeah. So that means that the moment you are going to fetch the pet, it will bring the owner also with it. Yeah. But if you wish, you can make it lazy also here. So let's write it lazy as of now. Yeah. And in the code, whenever we wish, we can make it eager also, that you know. And this is I'm only doing for the showing purpose, because it's not possible to make small videos for each and every concept. So hence in a single video only I'm trying to show you most of the things. Depending on your requirements, you can decide what particular thing you want to use, whether you want to use this or not. Yeah. So I'm just adding here lazy because I don't want it always directly. If I wish, I will use hibernate.initialize. Yeah. The next thing left is optional. So here it is saying that whether the other part is optional, like do you want to have a non-null relationship or not. So we are saying that it should not be optional. So for every pet, there needs to be an owner. Yeah. So that's why we are saying this optional as false here. So this we have also done now. Yeah. Now the next thing is, I just now told you that wherever you have the extra column in the table, on that side you need to write the join column. So here let's add this particular as join column. Yeah, because this time in the pet table we will be having that extra thing. So in the join column, let's see what all things do we have. So in the join column, the number one thing is name. This name actually represents what is going to be the name of that extra column in this table only. So in this table, the name of that extra column is going to be owner underscore ID. So this is the name we want to use here. Next one. So the next one is reference column. Which column it is going to reference of the other table. So in the other table, that is in your owner table. So there it is just a ID. Yeah, still it is fine. Next one. So next one, it says that do you want it to be unique in nature? So here, if you remember when we were doing one-to-one, so I'm always trying to refer or take the example of one-to-one here so that things become easy for you. Yeah, if you feel things have become difficult because of this comparison again, then you can tell me in the chats. Next time I won't do that. So here, this time in the pet table, so we have a scenario where two pets can belong to the same owner. So hence we don't want it to be unique. Otherwise it will become a one-to-one relationship. So this time we don't want unique here. Yeah. Do you want it to be null? No, we don't want it to be null. We always want a value there. So hence we will write it as false. Yeah. So again, this is something which needs to be learnt here. And then we have this insert table, update table, column definition. So we are not going to mention all these. Yeah, we will go with the default values for them. So this one also looks fine to us, and now we don't need something like this. Yeah. So I guess now we are done. Okay, the only thing left is that here this is the column name, or this is the variable name, and this we need to refer here because we were saying mapped by. So that we are mentioning here. Yeah. So now I guess you are clear with all the basic annotations which are going to be updated in this particular table, as well as the pet entity also. Yeah. And let's remove all these things. So I'm not sure why I'm not using Control Shift O here. So let me just use Control Shift O, and the pet side also let's go for Control Shift O. It's always a point of a good developer that the moment you complete your coding, you remove all the extra imports and unwanted things. Yeah. So let's close all these classes, and you remember that here we just updated the annotations, so we don't need to make any of the changes in this particular class for any kinds of, I mean, the variables or methods or something like that. Yeah. So this we have done easily here. Let's close this. Now let's try to update the same thing in the DTO also, because in the owner DTO also we need to do something similar. So here things are going to be little easy. We will just say list of pet DTO, and here we will say pet DTO list, Control Shift O. So we'll say java.util.list and something like this. And this time we need to show the output. Yeah. So at that time, if it is null, we will handle it very easily on our own. We don't need that particular extra thing. Let's update and fix these two things also. So that I'll just do something like this. I'll go here, I'll say generate getters and setters for this, and this is going to be okay now. So yeah, this one also looks fine to me. Same way we need to update this particular toString method. We'll just update it in a while. Till then, let's see if we have any changes in the pet DTO. So for pet, there is still going to be one owner, so this looks fine, and this also completely looks fine to me. And here we were saying that we need to update this, so let me just quickly update this directly. So now you can see the updated version here. So directly on the list I'm saying if it is not null, then show the things. If it is null, okay, if it is null, then don't show the things. If it is not null, then show the things. So most of the times while explaining, I make mistake in this. Yeah, last time also, if you remember, I made a mistake, but that's why I thought directly to copy paste this particular part. But code is easy, guys. Yeah. So, and there is no change in the pet DTO side, so let's close this particular part also. So now let's move forward and let's see what do we have here. So here we will see that these are all the options we are going to see here. So we'll say press 1 to add new owner, press 2 to fetch the owner details, 3 to update the pet details on the owner. But this time it is going to be little tricky. Why this particular part is going to be tricky? Because when we are saying update pet details of the owner, we need to give the owner ID as well as the pet ID, because you don't want to update the names of all the pets at the same time. Yeah. Then we say delete owner details. We want pet also to be deleted at same time. Then we say fetch pet details. So this is basically from the pet side. We'll only provide the pet details, and then we'll see the data. Yeah, we'll see whether the owner details are coming or not. Then we'll say add new pet. So owner is also there already. Owner is having a pet also. We are just adding one more pet. And then we'll say the delete pet details, which means owner is there, maybe having multiple pets. We are just removing only one of the pet. Yeah. That's why we are saying delete pet details here. So these are the 7 operations we are going to do in today's video here now. Now after this, if that's the case, let's see if we need to perform any of the changes in the service here. So for the service, okay, instead of service, let's go here first directly and see what are the things. So here they say that, okay, accept the owner detail. And see, this is the reason why I made these methods separate, to accept the owner details and the pet details. Because this time whenever I just need to add a pet, I will only need to accept the pet details. So that's the reason here basically. So they say update this particular method. So let's update this. So update pet detail list here. But the point is, in the list you can't add this particular pet here. So something which we need to do unique here this time is that here we will be saying pet detail, something like this, and here we will say pet detail list. So first of all, then let's write it something like this, array list here, and here let's, where the cursor went, okay, this is here. So here let's say Control Shift O, Java util, and now this looks good to me. And what I will be doing here is that in this list, first of all, I will be adding the pet. So initially we'll see that only one pet is there, and later on if you wish we can add more pets also. So we'll copy this and we'll save it here. So this one now looks good to me. Yeah, save owner, rest of the method will remain same. Let's quickly have a look. So we'll go to its declaration and we see that we are just converting it to the entity. So convert owner detail to entity. So let's go within that, and here we see all other things are fine. The only thing is we are not getting the pet detail here directly. We are getting the list. So we need to convert it to the pet list this particular time. So for this, what we can do is that we need to convert all the pet detail list to the pet list. So let's try to see how to perform the same. So we'll copy this particular part here, and here let's say pet detail list. So this is the one we are going to have. Now this list we need to map to the pets. So for this, if you wish, you can go for the simple for loop also. If you are good with the streams, if you have watched all our videos of streams and lambda, then you can go for some this particular way also. And I'll provide the link somewhere on the top for the videos of stream and lambda. If you watch them in detail, you will get very easily what we are doing now here. So we'll say map here, and here we will say there is going to be a pet detail, let's say something like this. And if this is going to be a pet detail, so every pet detail we need to convert it to the pet. So for this we are going to call this particular method. It's already ready without any owner. So we'll provide it here, and this is the pet detail. So again this looks good to me, and here I will say dot collect, something like this, and here I will say collectors dot to list. So let me just see here, this is my collectors dot to list. So this one also looks good. So this is the way, and let me just format it a bit. Okay, this says I will go to look like this only, so no worries, it's fine. And now we need to convert it to the, save it somewhere. So we'll save it like this, list of pet, and here let me say like this, pet list. So I'll just say here Control Shift O, java.util list, and I'll say finish. So this one looks fine, and this is the pet list. So what I'll do is here, now we don't need this, we have already converted it to a pet list. And you see with streams it is simple, and in my complete video of lambda and stream, I have explained each and every part step by step. So here you will say that, okay Abhishek, you did this too quickly, you should have explained it in more detail. But the point is, this is not the right video to explain. For that I have already done most of the things, and here Sonarlint says that you can modify it a bit. So let's do this. So yeah, this also we have done, and this is something which we call as method reference. Again, in the video of lambda, I guess you will find this method reference. Yeah, now here it says that, okay, instead of this you should be using toList. But the point is that toList many a times give you something a unmodifiable list. So it is your choice whether you want to convert it to a modifiable or unmodifiable list. As of now, my requirement, I may need to update the list later on, so I'm writing it like this. Yeah, and this looks fine as of now. So this one looks good. Let's go back here. So we have done it, and now we are just going to call the save owner. So we'll go there, and you see the code looks same. There's no change in this particular part. So your save method looks exactly same. Let's move for the next one. So the next one is this particular one where we are going to show the owner details. So fetch owner details. We'll provide the owner ID and we'll get all the details. So let's see how it says. So it is picking an owner ID. So that looks good to me. Now let's see what we are doing in this. So here we say find owner. Okay, this one goes here, and this is the find owner. Now if you remember, in the owner side here, so we mentioned this one as, okay, we didn't mention, but if you remember, this was lazy in nature. So by default, when you are going to call this, it is not going to show you the pets. So this time when you just say owner here, it is only going to provide you the owner and not the pet details. So if we come back here, so you see we are checking if it is null, throw the exception. If it is not null, then convert owner entity to DTO but without pet, because pet is not available here. So hence we are converting it like this. Let's see the implementation. So it is without pet here, and that's why here only I have made another thing in this one, find owner with pet. So let's see what is the implementation for this. So it looks like this, and the method is again something little different, and here you say we have just done the same copy. The only thing is we need to initialize the pet here, and for this you remember how we did. So we said here hibernate dot initialize something like this, and here we will say owner dot get, and here we will say pet list. So when we are saying this get pet list, we are initializing the complete thing, and let me just remove this particular part. So we should be doing like this. One thing which I forgot to show in the previous video was that I was not checking for the null here. So always make this particular check that it should be non-null. Okay, it should not happen that here you are getting a null and then you are performing directly this. So always have a null check for this particular part also here. So this we have done. Now if we go back here, so we are converting this to the simple DTO here, and here also you see the thing which we need to do. Instead of pet to pet DTO, we need to convert pet list to pet DTO list. So again, let's quickly see how to perform the same. So let me write it here, dot get, and let me say pet list here. So number one. Now let's go for the stream. Number two. Now we need to convert. So let's say map here. We will be getting a single pet. Now we need to convert this pet to the pet DTO but without owner. So we will be calling this. So I'll call this particular one and I'll pass on the pet here. So this way I'm passing on the pet, and now we need to collect it as a separate list here. So what I'll do is I'll say here collectors dot to list this time. So this is the way I will be writing here, collectors dot to list. Yeah, and obviously I need to save it. I'm just showing to save so that you have an idea what is the output which we are getting. Otherwise, if you wish, I can directly provide it within my setter method. Yeah, so that's the thing. And let's say Control Shift O if there is any issue. So why is it still saying there is some issue? Let's say it says cannot convert from list of pet DTO to list of pet. So why it cannot convert? So convert pet entity to DTO. Okay, we call the wrong method here. So this is the wrong method, guys. So we picked the wrong method here. So the right method is convert pet entity to DTO. So this one is the right method, and now it will go fine. So okay, still there is some mistake. Cannot convert from pet DTO to pet. Okay, why is it so? Is it giving me some wrong thing, or what are we doing here? Let's have a look for this. So first of all, this is the pet list we are getting. Yeah, then we are converting it to stream. Okay, this looks good. Then we are mapping this. So we are taking a pet, we are converting pet entity to DTO, and then we are just saving it like this. So what's wrong here, guys? Do you see there is any issue? Change type of pet list to list of pet dto. No, we want a pet list only here. So pet entity, okay, the mistake. This is the one, yeah, the silly mistake. I mean, we are returning, so I forgot. So that was the silly mistake. And see, many times we do this, but how Java is saving us, or how basically Eclipse is saving us by providing these compilation errors. Yeah. Otherwise, if we are going to have the, I mean, those complete runtime exceptions, then it will become even much more difficult for us. And let's convert this back to method reference. So this we have done. Let's say Control Shift F, and this looks something like this. So again, this one is good for us. Yeah, and these mistakes happen for each one of us. Deliberately, I didn't cut this particular part. So now let's go back. So we were on this particular service MPL, and yeah, now we are returning the owner DTO with pet. So this we have done. Yeah, and how we did with the help of initialize. Now let's move on for the next part. So fourth one is to delete owner details. So let's quickly go there. Okay, not fourth one, but basically the third one. We are still on the third one, guys. So let's go there. So third one, I just need to accept the owner ID first of all. Then I need to accept the pet name also here. Yeah, but one thing to remember here this time is that only two things won't do the job, because one owner is having multiple pets. So I need to accept the pet ID also. So if I need to accept the pet ID, let me see if we have any method for that. So what I'll do is I will say here input util dot, and let's say accept pet ID to operate. Yeah, this is the one. So this can provide me the pet ID. The method is there. Let me see if we have this particular variable, or I need to create a new one. Okay, the pet, this variable is here. So let me cut from here. Let me paste it here, and this looks fine. So we need to accept owner ID, pet ID, and the pet name also, on which we wish to operate. This is the new name which we wish to add here. Yeah. And here for this we need to go to this update pet details, but it will accept only two things. So how to pass the pet ID? So let's go inside this. So here we see it is only one method, but what I have basically done is that here, if you see, this I just kept for the showing purpose. So we'll remove this method, which was the old one, and the new method accepts your owner ID, pet ID, and pet name, all the three things. So we can provide it very easily here, something like this, pet ID. So this is the one, and we need to provide the body also for this. So let's again go here. Now this was the old method, and let's see what we need to do in the new method. Then I'll remove the old one. So the first one is find owner with pet. So I need to find owner with pet. So can I copy this? Let's see. So if I copy this, you remember find owner was not providing me the pet. So if I just copy this particular one, it is not going to provide me any pet, and hence I won't be perform any kind of checks on it. So I want it with the pet. So let's see if we have this method. Yeah, this is the particular method which we need to call owner with pet. So this is something very important. Here there are chances of mistake that you use this method, you don't get any pet, and then some different error will come. Yeah. So this is the number one thing which we have done. Fetch owner using owner ID. Okay, this particular part we have completed. Next one is if owner is null, then throw the exception. So we can copy this particular part. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. I don't have any shame in copying from my own code. Yeah, and neither you should be ashamed of that. The next one is if pet is null, then throw the pet not found exception, because now we need to see that okay, owner was not null. Yeah, but is this particular pet ID also available or not? So that also we need to ensure whether this pet exists or not. Yeah. Now in order to check whether this pet exists or not, again we need to have some kind of a for loop, or we can go for something like streams also here. Let's see how to perform the same. So for this, what we are going to do is we will just get something like this, owner dot get pet list. So first of all we have got the pet list. Now it provides me the complete pet list. So as I mentioned, you can go for the simple for loop or the streams. Let's go for stream. So this is the stream. Yeah, and then we'll just put a dot. We will find the particular pet only. So we can go for this particular filter. So we will say this particular filter, and we are having this particular pet, and what I will be saying is that this pet dot get id, so this pet dot get id, something like this, equals my pet id. So if both of them are equal, then only proceed forward, and what I want is only the first one. So I don't need to go for the complete thing. So let's say that there are 10 pets. Out of those 10 pets, the ID which was provided was, let's say, 3. So I will find it on number 3 only. Why should I keep on continuing till the end? So what I will say is find first. Yeah, obviously there will be find one pet only with one pet ID, but why to iterate over the whole list? So we'll just go for that particular part only. So we'll say find first. Yeah, now this find first gives me the optional. So what I want is, I don't want to have a pet, I just want to see whether this exists or not. So I will just say here is present. Yeah, so I will call it like this, is present, something like this. Okay, or not is present, let's write it other way around. So is empty. So what we will say is that if this particular part is empty, so if this particular part is empty, that this particular pet is not found for which we want to update the name, then throw the exception. And which exception we should basically throw is pet not found exception. So let me change it to pet, and here also let me change this same particular thing to pet here, something like this. Yeah, and do we have, okay, we don't have that, so let me just add it here, that pet not found exception. So here let me just quickly write it like this, pet, and here also let me mention here my this. So I guess since I have copied from the previous code, so that already exists. The only thing is I was not having that particular variable here. So that also I have done. Now if owner is null, then throw the exception. If pet is not found, then throw the exception. If that is also found, then what to do? Then just proceed with your code and try to call that particular update method simple. This is the one which we want to call. So there it goes. Yeah, and why to just write it again and again? If we know that if this will exist, then the control will go out only, so it won't come again here. So we can write it like this. So we can say else here. So this is the way we can move, and here also we can say else here. So it's always better to write these braces and if else and all, so that your code becomes simple here. So this is something which we have done, and you see that how in this such a small code only I can show you the example of streams. So many times people feel that in order to learn the streams and lambda they need to have a very big amount of code. No, that's not a thing. You can perform your streams, lambda, you can show your scores in any small code also, if you know the things. Yeah, now let's go to this method and see how it looks like. So there also we have this pet details. So we will obviously remove the previous method, but first see here what are the new things. So it says that open session factory, we try with resources. I'll copy this. Yeah, so I'll copy this particular part and I'll just paste it out here, something like this. Then they say begin the transaction. So again I'll copy this, I'll paste it out here. Then they say fetch the owner using owner ID. So again I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it out here. So that is going to be owner. Then they say that if owner has pet, so again we need to check if this owner has a pet with the given ID, then only set the name. Yeah, so again for this you see we are going to have a list here. So on the list we will be having stream. So let's again try to apply all those same things only. So what we will do is we will say here owner dot get, and let's try to say here pet list, and then let's try to say here stream, and if that is the stream, let's try to filter it out the same particular way. Yeah, so for this I will just say here pet, and if that's the thing, so I will say pet dot get id, so something like this, and I will say pet id. I mean some of the things I'm just doing repeatedly just in order to explain you. if you wish, you can just modify your code still a bit more and you can enhance the things. Yeah, and if that is the thing, so again what we will say is, we will say here find first. Yeah, so if this is the find first, so what we will say is present. So this time if it is going to be present, then only we are going to perform the particular logic here. But again the point is that I can still perform the logic, but if you see that is present will just give me first of all boolean, then obviously again I need to check, because this time I don't only need to check, I need to update that also. So can we have any direct thing that if it is present then do something like this? So we see there is something like this, if present. So instead of is present this time, we'll directly go for if present. So we'll say if it is present. So if the pet is present, then do something very simple, and that is set the name, and this name make it as the new name. So something like this you can do. Okay, so directly while checking you are updating the name. Now this is done, and if it is done, the next part is to merge. So we'll just copy this and we'll do it like this, merge, because in the owner you have already updated the pet. Okay, so directly the pet name you have updated it like this, and then we just need to commit our transaction. So this commit also we have done, and now we can remove this particular part also, and if you wish we can format our code a bit. So now this looks good, Control Shift F. Yeah, and we don't need this extra method, so let's remove it from here, and same way let's remove it from this particular owner repository also. So this method also we don't need. Yeah. So this one looks good. Now the next one is to delete the owner details. So let's go here. So I just need to get the owner ID, so that I've accepted, and I'll go in this particular method. So find the owner ID. Again here the important thing, this time we need to delete the owner. So currently do we want anything from this, like do we want any pet details as of now? The answer is no. We are not going to delete it anyway directly, we are still going to provide the owner ID. So here this method is going to be enough for us. You don't need to go for find owner with pet, this is going to be sufficient. And we forgot to delete this method, so let me delete that one. Yeah, so if that is the thing, then we will just say delete owner. So let's go for that, and this deletion is simple. So the moment you are going to delete or remove the owner, your pet also will be removed, because you are saying cascadeType dot all. So this also we have seen. Now the next one, the next thing is fetch pet details. So for this fetch pet details, let's see what we are doing here. So for this time we are going to the pet service. So let's try to find. Yeah, so this is the fetch pet. Now fetch pet, if we go here, so by default, if you remember when we were saying fetch pet, by default it was eager. We made pet deliberately lazy. So this means when you will say pet, you are only going to get a pet only. You won't get any kind of owner here. Yeah, so we are just checking this and we are converting it without owner. The other thing which we are doing here is find pet with owner. So this is a separate method which we created. Now for this, let's try to enhance the method. So they say that invoke the method. So again the copy paste, like I love to copy from my code only. So I'll say find pet with owner. Let's go within this method first of all. So here also we need to again write out this method. So first of all we need to have this particular try and catch. So this is this particular try here. So we have opened the session factory, and this looks good to me. The next one is we want to get the pet. So let me copy this, let me just write it here, and this is going to provide me a pet. So let me write it like this. Yeah, so we have provided the pet also, and obviously we need to return the pet. So let me just return it also, but you will say that now this is again same like the above one. Yeah, so we need to initialize the owner also here, but this time I won't forget, I have still mentioned it very specifically. Yeah, so since I'm not going to forget, so what I'll do is I will say objects dot non null, and if your pet is not null, then what the thing which we need to do is we need to say here hibernate dot initialize, and here we will say pet dot get owner. So this is the one, hibernate dot initialize get pet owner, and this looks good to me. Yeah, and now I'll remove this particular part also. Control Shift O, Control Shift F. Your code looks great. So now if that's the thing, let's remove this. So now in the pet we are getting the owner also. So that is the thing. Now if it looks like this, then the next thing which we need to do is we need to say that if pet is null, throw the exception. So that I can do something very specifically as it is simple. And if it is not null, convert it to the pet DTO and return the thing. So I'll copy this line, I'll paste it here, but I won't say it without owner, I want with the owner. So I'll just write it like this. So this is with owner. Now I don't need these, and I'll say Control Shift O, Control Shift F. My pet service IMPL is done, and this looks good. The next one is to add a new pet. Yeah, so now we are going to add a new pet here, guys. So when adding a new pet, let's see what we need to do here. So number 6, in order to add a new pet. Now here this is a new requirement. Now we are assuming the owner already exists. So we are just accepting the owner ID, not the complete owner details. Then we say the new pet details are going to come. So hence we are accepting the complete pet detail. Then we are calling add pet. Yep. So this we are saying. Now here we need to write a code. First of all, we need to find owner and fetch the owner using the owner ID. Yep. So for this, what I can simply do is that I can call this particular one, copy, and obviously I'll copy this particular part also. Okay, let me copy both. So I have done something very simple here. Yep. So this way I'm finding the owner. If it is null, I'll throw the exception directly. So this particular part is done, and I don't want to get it with the pet because pet ID will be always generated newly. So obviously whenever I will be saving the pet detail, a new pet ID will be generating. So I don't want any pet details here, so only the owner. So this I have done. Now they say is that we are having the pet detail, but before saving it we need to convert it to the entity. The same way we used to convert our owner before saving to the owner entity. So same way we need to do here also. So again, let me just copy paste this particular part. So I'll come here, and what I'll do is I'll convert. I am just having a pet detail, so this particular one I'll pick and convert it to the entity. So this is the one. Yeah, and this is going to provide me a new pet here, guys. So I guess this is the thing, and when I say so, I need to import, and yeah, import is successful. Now the next thing is that I need to add a pet, but for this, which kind of method should I use? Yeah, so for this, set the owner in pet. So what I will be doing is that in this pet, first of all, because you say that when we are adding the pet to the owner, so how we will be doing is we will say here add this pet dot add. Okay, not add, basically pet dot set. So on the pet side we are going to set the same owner. So the owner which we fetched, we are setting the same owner here. Yeah, because we need to set the details in the pet table this time. So that we are doing here, and now we are going to invoke the add pet method. So we'll call this particular one, and here we will say add pet. So now we just need the owner ID and the pet details. So owner ID is there, pet details are here. Yeah, and now I can remove it, something like this. Yeah, now if I go inside this add pet, so let's see how this looks like. So first it says that okay, go with the session and create one. So this we have created. Yeah, go with the transaction, create one. So let's create a transaction also, and let's commit this also parallelly. So here we have committed the transaction also. So the commit part is done and the transaction part is done for us. So now they say fetch the owner using owner ID. So owner ID we are getting. So for this we are going to fetch the owner details. So this way we can fetch. So we have fetched this particular thing. Now what we will be doing is we will say here owner dot get pet list, and within this pet list only here I will say add, and I will be adding this particular pet here. So we are going to add the pet. So obviously here we are going to add the pet within the pet list. So this is important. But before this, one important thing is that in your owner service IMPL also, here in your pet you set the owner. Otherwise, what it will look like is that when you are having setting the pet, at that time there is no owner. So this particular part is very important here. So if that's the thing, the next thing is we just need to merge, because it's a kind that you are updating the owner only. Yeah. So we need to merge it like this. So here we are merging it. So we are adding a pet and something like this. So yeah, this is the add pet. So that also we have done. Yeah. Now the next and the last one, to delete the pet details. So that means owner is also there, pet is also there, and you just need to remove one of the pets. So we'll go here. So we'll accept the owner ID, we accept the pet ID, and we are going to delete. Now why I'm saying it delete and not remove? Because we are not removing any kind of connection, we are deleting it completely. We need to delete this pet completely from the database. So for this, first of all, we are having the owner ID. So with the help of owner ID, we will check whether the owner exists or not. Yeah. And for this, let me copy this particular one. So here let's check whether the owner exists or not. So this will provide, and if owner is null, then throw the exception. So yeah, we are throwing the exception if owner is null here. Yeah. Next we need to check that before deleting the pet, does this pet ID even exist or not? Yeah. So for this particular thing, what we can do is that, let me copy this particular part. Yeah. So we can check whether the pet even exists or not. So this is the right code which we can pick here, and I will be writing it like this. So what I'm saying, stream filter get pet, if it is empty then throw, if it is not empty then keep on moving ahead, and if it is not empty then move ahead like this. And when you are moving ahead, then what we are saying here, we are saying delete the pet. So here let's say owner dot delete, and here why it didn't came here. Okay, this didn't came because instead of owner we need to say here owner repository. So this is owner repository dot delete, and here we just need to delete the pet this time, not the owner. So just check this particular part carefully. Provide again the owner ID and the pet ID. So that looks fine to us. Yeah. Let's go back in detail of it. So if we are here again the starting part, so we'll copy this. We need to have the transaction also, because we are going to update something in the database. Yeah, I hope you remember the basics, that since we are going to update something, so we need to have all those transactions with us. Yeah. So that's the reason here we are having the transaction. So this is the part and this is the part. So this we got. Now we will be fetching the owner first of all. So we fetched the owner here first of all. So this we have fetched. Now after fetching the owner, the next and the last part which we need to do is we will be getting the pet list here. So this way we can get the pet list from this particular owner, and then we need to remove it. So we just need to remove it from this particular pet list only. Yeah, and the pet will be deleted. Why the pet will be deleted? Because if you remember in the owner side here we mentioned orphan removal. So the moment we are going to remove the pet from the owner, pet will become orphan. Since it will become orphan, it will be deleted completely. That's why this is the way we are going to use. And for this, in order to remove the data from this list, so here we can say, do we have any method here, something like this? So yeah, here we have something like this remove if. We don't even need to go till list or streams, directly this remove if there. So we'll say this pet, and for this pet we will say pet dot get id, something like this pet id, and this should be same as our pet id. So if this pet id is same as our pet id, then just remove it, and after removing you need to update the owner, so merge it again. So this way we are merging the owner again, and Control Shift O, Control Shift F, and this looks good to us. So this way we have just deleted the pet. So this part is also done, and yeah, now there is nothing left. Let me just do a quick check whether any of my comments is pending or not. So for this, what I'll do is I'll just say a sonarlint run and I'll analyze it. Yeah, because what I did was that for each and every part where I know there's some change is going to be there, I added a comment. Now if I have done everything, so there should not be any comment. So yeah, there is no comment. These are two things, but we are not going in detail of it. We want it as it is only. Yeah, so that particular part is ready, guys. Yeah, and I guess our video is already very long here. So since our video is very long, do you want me to again showcase each and every particular part in the output, or would you like to try the things on your own? Yeah, so the only thing which you need to do is you go here, you just click on this particular start. Yeah, the moment you are going to, okay, it is throwing me some exceptions here. The reason is that in the database I forgot to delete the things. Yeah, so what you need to do is that first of all in the database you need to clear your tables because it's a new relationship and completely new things. So clear all the things. Once you are done with it, then you go to your this, okay, then you just need to run this. Once you have ran this, so either you can directly start running all this, or the data is already here. So with this data, the only thing which you need to take care this time is that first of all you need to insert the data in the owner table. Owner IDs will be generated, and then you need to save the data in the pet table. So here I have given a data in such a way that there are some owners which are having only one pet, some owner which are having two pets, some owner which are having three pets, some owner which are even having 4 or 5 pets also. Yeah, and then you can perform each and all these operations here one by one. Just take care of some of the things when you are performing this. Yeah, and I hope things are going to work fine for you. If you found things interesting here, and if you find that okay, my explanation works for you, then the only thing which you need to do is you need to like the video. You need to provide me something in the comments, like at least something is necessary, guys. Otherwise YouTube feels that okay, no one is watching this person's video, only robots are watching. Yeah, if you are not going to comment, so for YouTube at least just comment something there. And still, if you find it even more interesting, you can share it with your friends, and obviously you should subscribe the channel. Complete all these things, practice all the things, download the demo and try the things, everything on your own. That's why I'm not running all these things now. Yeah, and in the next video it is going to be even much more difficult, even much more complex, because we will be performing many to many mapping, and most of the programmers make mistake in that particular one. So that's it for this video. Thanks everyone.